Welcome back to Coffee at FCG, the podcast that you are hopefully listening to right now. We are back this week. We're continuing our series called Don't Assume That You're Not What You Consume. I hope I got that right. Is that right?
Great.
That's good.
Came from Lisa's heart.
Yeah, a bit of a
In
tongue
her spirit,
twister
man,
there.
is what
Amen.
she said.
Oh, yeah, in her
And
spirit.
that's what we're going to talk about. So
it's
it's
good.
perfect.
I wanted to have like a special effect when you said that, like, dropped in the spirit, man, or something like did it dropped in the
Spirit.
spirit drop or something. We'll work on that in
All right.
post.
I like that.
Post-production.
Yeah, we're back and having a good time. So, what is everybody drinking today? I've got a special blend of coffee in my cup. It's called the. Wait for it. It's called the Night Swim Jubilee. And if you never had it, that's because, well, you're not cool enough. Yeah, I'm just kidding. It doesn't exist. The truth is that I have counterculture. I was trying to, be cool,
Switch
but
it up.
I'm not that creative. Anyway, just black coffee is what I drink every day, 365, 24/7. All right.
Unless you're drinking a turmeric milk latte.
Oh, don't
Never
get me
forget.
started.
Not
All
on
right.
turmeric.
What do you have?
I've moved on to water.
Water now.
Water at FCG.
Water at FCG.
Time to hydrate.
But if I had coffee, it's always the same.
Yeah.
All right,
If our
VJ.
coffees are always the same, maybe we shouldn't
I know
always
we
talk
should.
about them.
We should talk
Yeah.
about something
All right.
Do
different.
you guys like the coffee thing? Or
I don't know.
Yeah, let
Let's
us
do
know.
a vote.
give us
Let
a
us know.
give us some
We'll
feedback.
do a poll on the
All right.
Insta.
This
Yeah.
is a hologram.
This could be the last time it ever happens.
This might be it.
This might
Hologram
be
it.
counterculture black hot. Lisa, what do you have?
I have the same, but since we're going to try to make this portion of the show interesting for you guys, I was thinking this morning I made Judah the best coffee, and we're saving money, so I like that. Like,
Yeah.
because the
Because
kids.
you made it instead of buying it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been making it. So
$6 a cup. Usually.
yeah, instead of going to fancy little coffee shop or something. But I just make the cold foam and stuff and put it on top and then put a little cinnamon on top for him. And it's just like a treat. And I
For the
started
Little Prince.
for my
And
prince,
his
anything
friends
for my boy.
His friends put in orders now.
Yeah, I've actually had a few orders from his
Can your
friends,
mom-
which is
can you
kind of
bring one
cute.
for me?
And
Very
sometimes
cute.
he's like, "Mom, can you make me a matcha today?" And I'm like, "I ran out of matcha, but I'll make you a coffee." But yeah, I've just been making it at home, which is nice. So we've been saving a little bit of money. But I did start thinking I probably don't need to have a treat every day, even though I want one. Maybe it's the season of life where I'm I don't need to treat myself every hour or every day even. Because treats aren't
treats are good.
as special if you get
that's
one
true.
every day.
Because you are what you consume.
Exactly. And
Great
if I want to be
segue.
healthy, I don't
Perfect
need to
segue.
have a treat every single day with cold foam on top, even though my brain's
foam is
telling
good.
me
However,
Well, I previously
it's
told
like my
you
body's saying yes, but my heart is saying no.
Yeah.
that I got through my apple cider vinegar by treating myself with my normal. So maybe just reframing
Yes,
what a treat is.
Exactly. I know what you
Yeah.
mean though. And I think isn't that kind of how we are just in the natural, well, this feels really good. That's what we were talking about last episode. If it
lead
feels
in,
good,
Lisa.
if it feels good, then I should probably do it. But not everything that quote feels good or is easy. BJ always tells the kids this. A lot of times the easy road is
Not the right one.
Not the right
I don't
one.
say a lot of times. I say every time. And if the kids
Yeah,
say,
that's true.
if anybody ever comes to me and says, "Hey, which of these choices do you think I should make?" I don't even have to hear the
You always
choices.
say the
I
hard
say the
one.
hardest one. And they say,
That's
"Well, you haven't
true.
even heard them yet." I say, "It's the hardest one.
Yeah.
That's the one you should choose.
Yeah.
That's the one you should do."
That's true.
Rudyard Kipling. I took the road less traveled, and it's made all the difference.
That's good.
What a perfect segue. I've never heard a better segue.
I've never heard of better. Today we're picking up on what are you consuming?
What are you
That's the
consuming?
question for today.
Because-
what are you
Like
that.
consuming?
Because the simple interpretation of Romans 12:1 and 2 is you will either conform to the world
Yep. Yep.
or you will live transformed by the renewing of your mind.
That's good.
Yeah.
What are you consuming? What the world is feeding you, or what the living word, the bread of life, the word of God. So the world is feeding us 24/7, 365, as Will said a minute ago. Another good segue. The world feeds us every minute of our life. That's why it's so easy to conform. We got 5 senses that consume the world 24/7. And we got this one, we're calling it a 6th sense in this series. We get it when we become saved, faith. And when we walk by faith, we are being transformed. So what are you consuming? Anybody want to jump in? Anybody have a, how do you know what you're consuming more of at the time?
I can get on a rant fast.
Yeah,
so
let me
somebody else
start.
talk.
Just because I had a few thoughts when we did our last episode, and even let's just go like at the very basic level. Thinking about you are what you eat. I think we've already said that in this episode, but in my testimony that I was saying, like, I physically looked different. I was eating unhealthy. I was living unhealthy. But also what was going on the inside was unhealthy. I was pushing away what I knew my spirit was telling me to do. My soul and my emotions and everything was pushing that away. So even just physically, man, if you physically are not living a physical healthy lifestyle, you're going to see bad results. You're going to see pains. You're going to see, problems in your body. And it's no different when you're neglecting what your spirit needs, that refreshing, that daily bread. When you're neglecting that, your soul and your body are gonna feel bad. They're gonna look bad. You're gonna see things start to happen. I love verses like this, Romans 12, that are just so simple that they're easy to mess up. They're so simple that they're hard. Because it's like literally laid out there for you. Okay, if you want to experience the will of God, if you want to experience these great things, just try these easy steps, right? Like, just renew your mind, just do this. But we mess that up so often because, like it's already been said, we're so distracted by what's in front of us physically all the time. So for me, I mean, it's a really simple thing. It's just taking an inventory of what's going on. Man, if I have a situation in my life, our friend Ben was here a few weeks ago at church, and he said, kind of going room by room, or however he said it, but just looking at it and saying, is this prospering? Is this prospering? Wait a second, that's not. Well, let's ignore that. And then, that looking at every situation in my life and seeing, okay, there's a leak happening somewhere. Where's it at? And it's because, man, I've been super anxious about that, or I've been super stressed out, and I've just kind of pushed that away. And my situation is reflecting that, that choice to be in anxiety or be in stress. So that simple act of just, let me take an inventory real quick and see what's going on. And you can usually spot where I have not been living out that verse the way that I should. I have not been, renewing my mind. I let the door open a crack and the enemy took a mile. The enemy came in like a flood. So that simple inventory will go a very long way.
Well, and even spirit, I feel like natural things, which way is it? Natural things speak of spiritual things, or the other way around.
That's it.
Maybe it could be both ways. But when you're thinking about naturally, I feel like I'm very aware of like what's happening in my physical body. Like I'm just a little like maybe psychotic about it a little bit. But I was, I said in the last episode about the apple cider vinegar, which I know is a silly thing, but if I notice anything's off in my body, even to the point of like, am I having breakouts? Is my skin looking dull? Things like that. And I start evaluating, am I drinking enough water? Am I drinking too much coffee? And I know that's simple things, but for me, if I do it in my natural body, why am I not doing it in my spiritual?
That's right.
And so I sometimes do I guess for me, I'm a little bit more like first of all, you just have to be self-aware as a believer to get to this point. You have to be okay with feeling like I don't like this part of me. I don't like that I'm acting out of anger. I don't like that I'm having big reactions. I don't like that I'm, snappy, or I don't know, I'm trying to think of other examples, but I think if you could say that to yourself, I'm seeing that I'm reacting this way. Why? And even if the Lord tells you, I just had this conversation with someone a few days ago, and they were telling me, well, I don't know why I feel so angry when this happens. And it was a situation about another person. And I told this person, you could spend your time trying to figure out why, but it really doesn't matter. You just have to stop. And I know that seems like a simple thing, but what I have noticed in my own life is that when I had a tendency to have like big reactions and big responses and dramatics to things. And every time it would happen, I would think, I hate this so much. I hate that I'm having big reactions. So then I remember, just started thinking, I'm not going to try to figure out why I'm having a big reaction. I'm just not going to do it anymore. I don't know. I'm not saying that it's always that cut and dry simple, but for me, I'm just very hard headed. So I thought, I'm not going to do it anymore. I would take an evaluation of what I don't like going on in my life and say, I'm going to cut that out.
You have to be okay with change and be okay with the process of changing. And sometimes that's not, like BJ was saying, it's not the easy way. It's way easier to just stay where you're at and never change and just be comfortable. But the results are not going to be good when you do that, when you make that choice.
That's right. Lisa and I had a great conversation this past week. I'd love for you to speak about it, Lisa, because we are believers, and we know here at FCG that our foundation always has to be the Word. And when we talk about renewing your mind, a lot of times it seems like our default conversation here in our community is we renew our mind to the Word, we go to the Word. And I don't want to take away from that at all. But there is a whole nother side to our faith where Jesus pointed out that the very religious people, the Pharisees, knew the Word backwards and forward, but they had missed something that it pointed to Him. That's the Spirit. And renewing of our mind, if it was just about the Word, the Pharisees would have had the most renewed minds of all people. They would have been the most renewed. But Jesus said, you know it, but you've missed that it points to me. And sometimes it's sometimes our default in our community is talking about the Word side of it, just because it seems like we have our church loves to worship, and a lot of our circles, even growing up, worship was just like something we dove into. In our case, the Word part of it was something we got into a little bit later. So I think our default is like, don't forget, you got to renew your mind to the Word, almost like assuming people have the Spirit part, the worship, the looking at Jesus part down. But it's important to remember that there's a lot of people that are just coming into this and just hearing it. And you have to know that, yes, your foundation has to be the Word. But if you want a renewed mind, it's transforming your mind by changing the way you think. The way you think has to be foundation on the Word, but also influenced by just time and the presence of the Lord. Yeah. That's what Lisa was talking about this weekend. It was so good.
Well, I feel super passionate about it because obviously Jesus is my best friend and I love spending time with the Lord, and I think to me, anytime I have actual real encounter with Jesus, like the heart issues get fixed, the bad attitude, the whatever it is, getting convicted about, something that needs to change in my life. But if our focus is only ourselves getting better or our, whatever it is, then like we're missing it. We're missing a whole
That's
awesome
not the only
goodness side
Right.
is like actually Jesus. And like, I mean, when we were talking about our testimonies, I know for me, it was like getting removed from certain people in my life that had influence. And, Will, you shared about living with this group of people and then you decided to move away from that. And you put yourself in a different position and being surrounded by other people. And I was just thinking about that, how that was so pivotal in my life when I decided, okay, these people, this influence, this group of people has this kind of influence on me. And then when I decided to like turn to Jesus and let Him be the bigger influence in my life, like the things that were plaguing me, the things that were troubling me, the stuff that was in my heart literally started to get healed, literally started to change because I'm spending time with him. Yes, in his word, in his presence, but actually just like giving the Lord space in my life more than just trying to. It's not even like I was trying to get something from him, just spending time at his feet, just spending time with him. And I think a lot of us faith people we miss that portion of the Lord when we don't take just time, not trying to do anything, get anything, check anything off, but just literally spending time with him. To me, I know for me, like in a relationship, if we're just like, okay, the only thing we do is talk about our kids' schedule, hey, what do we have? Blah, 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 whatever. Our relationship is just like work and
business.
All work and no play.
Which is what it was for the Pharisees.
Yeah.
They thought if they did the work, they were doing good.
Right.
And I kind of feel like that a lot of times, if we're not careful, like our relationship with Jesus can be like that. It can be like, okay, well, I did X, Y, and Z, Lord, and da 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 da. Yeah, transactional, or like you said, it's all here.
The Spirit and the Word.
But it has to be, it has to be a balance of that.
Which we know, and they're one of the same. Romans 12 and Hebrews 12 go really great together. Romans 12, be transformed by changing the way you think, looking to the Word. Hebrews 12 says this, since we are surrounded by a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down. That's what we're talking about. Let us stop thinking about the way the world works. Let's stop being conformed to the world. Let us strip off the weight that slows us down, especially sin that so easily trips us up, and let us run with endurance the race he has set before us. Then it's plain English here. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus. And Jesus, John 1:1, is from the beginning, is the Word, was the Word. Yes, the Word is of utmost importance. It is our foundation. There is the other side of this as well, going to his presence in worship, in relationship. These things renew your mind.
Well, and I was just like pulling all those things together, like what Will and I were talking about, taking inventory, and then what you're talking about, it's like, okay, regardless of if you want to believe this or not, whatever you're consuming the most is what is going to come out, period.
That's it.
And so if I know this is going to be like come across maybe weird to some people, but if you are only reading your Bible, you may come out like a Pharisee. If you are only worshiping, and I've done this, I don't know if you guys have necessarily like grew up. I mean, it's part of my testimony, but I'm telling you, at one point in my life, it was only worship and intercession for me. And guess what? What came out was inconsistent. Like I didn't have a foundation because I didn't have the Word. And if you're only praying, it's like, well, you're going to get a little swirly, and what I mean by swirly, because I recently had someone ask me, what are you talking about when you say swirly? And I mean,
no foundation.
No foundation.
Yeah, you
swirling
can't
around. Can't back it up with anything. It's just because I have talked to people who are just, I won't get into the whole story, but I was talking to someone who was saying their covering was this lady. And I said, well, and what I mean by covering, it was a ministry. And I grew up and I still find this very important, that if you have a ministry, if you're listening to me and you have a ministry, you need to be under a church.
Yeah.
Under the covering of a church. What I mean is like they are covering you, they're backing you up. And so they were like, well, we're covered by so-and-so. And it was just some lady. I said, well, I talked to her this morning and she didn't even go to church this week because she said she went on a walk instead. That's what I'm talking about. It's like we actually just get way too involved in like our own thoughts and processes and throw away any of the, foundations of the Word. So I'm saying all that to say, even good things, like not good things, the thing is the Bible, the thing is prayer, the thing is reading. Even those things, like we have to partner all these things together. You can sometimes be consuming way too much of other pastors, and then you actually need to go back to the Word for yourself and hear from the Holy Spirit and get in your relationship with Jesus. But if I say all those things to say that some of you are very likely consuming way too much of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Way too much of the world. Sometimes, and like I said earlier, when you evaluate yourself and say, there are things in my life I do not like the way that it's going.
Right.
Is it because your consumption is 10, 15, 20 out? Like we do it with our kids in the youth group. What's your screen time for the day? And we all laugh and have a good time about it. Cause I'm not saying that to be condemning or anything like that. Even too much TV, even if it's not bad things that you're watching, you could be telling me, well, I'm watching Little House on the Prairie. Okay, well, Little House on the Prairie is not going to get you healed, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I have multiple stories of people, one specifically that comes to mind, where this person had an affair on his wife, which is I learned when my first worldly job was at Honey Baked Hams, and I learned from the two ladies that worked there, who for some reason were confiding in a 17-year-old boy that when you have a boyfriend or you are married, you just cheat on each other. That's just the way it goes. She goes, yeah, you're married, but you can do whatever. That was weird to learn.
It's horrible.
But it is the way of the world. And we had a good friend who was a pastor. He was a believer, and he had an affair on his wife. Years later, when I said, how did that happen? He said, this is exactly what he said, that he started enjoying the TV show Desperate Housewives. And there was an episode where one of the people cheated on their spouse, but they were the hero because their spouse didn't treat them right. And they deserved to be with somebody that treated them right. And he said when he got home that night, him and his wife had an argument, and he thought, I'm like the person on Desperate Housewives. I deserve to be treated better.
Wow.
And within a year, he was having an affair that lasted 2 or 3 years before he got caught.
Wow.
The whole time he was in ministry and pastoring. And it went back to an episode of Desperate Housewives. So don't say that what you're seeing, what you're consuming, isn't what comes out. In this person's life, it was I thought, a mature believer who completely messed up his entire life because of a TV show. And I'm going to say something here, I think that'll round out our episode, that I think you guys, the audience, is going to want us to come back to this, and maybe even the four of us. But Brittany said something that I think is worth talking about, that if you only consume the word, you have a chance of becoming like a Pharisee. And if you only spend time in worship, you become swirly, was the word. And, the reason that is actually, there's precedence in the Bible. There's biblical reasons. And my dad put this really good, that when you only spend time in prayer and in worship, you actually go into a spiritual dimension, whether you feel it or not. You are in the spiritual world at that point. Not that you're not always, but you're very aware of it in worship and in prayer. And God is not the only voice out there. There are demonic voices. There's angelic voices. There's the voice of God. There's the voice of the devil. And honestly, in Scripture, you even have a couple stories of a person's soul or spirit one coming out of the grave.
Yeah.
And a dead person speaks in the Bible.
Yeah.
Do I understand that fully? Absolutely not. But there are dead people that speak in the Bible. So I don't know how many angels and demons there are, but I don't want to listen to demons at all.
Yeah.
I don't want to listen to the devil. Honestly, and I'd rather hear only the voice of God, even rather than an angelic voice.
Yes.
Right.
I don't know.
100%.
I mean, angels are messengers from God, so I'm sure that's not a negative thing. But if I'm like out there and I'm tuning into the
I
Spirit,
agree.
I want to hear the voice of the Lord
Yeah.
over anything else.
Yep.
And Jesus spoke on this when he said, sheep hear the voice of their shepherd, they know it's him. When you don't know the word, you don't know the voice of God, even if you think you do.
Yes.
You
Yes.
might hear the voice of God, but you have nothing to stand on and say, I know that was him. You might hear some demon say, go throw yourself off a bridge. And you might say, that's the voice of God.
Right.
Because I heard it when I was in the Spirit. You have to have a foundation in the word, or you'll just listen to anything and everything out there.
So
There's
good.
a whole other dimension out there that is
right.
just as real as the natural world.
Yep.
And the Bible, the Word of God, gives you these this goggles, if you will, that you can see into that dimension and decipher what is the Lord and what isn't. So I'm sure it'll be good to come back to that, and maybe for next week. But it is a foundation in the Word, and it is regularly going to the Lord and in worship, in relationship.
Yeah.
It is the Spirit, and in fact, and I believe it says it in John. Jesus said, "Those who worship me must worship me in spirit
Right.
and in truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll come back to that next week, and we'll
Good.
talk about what it means what it looks like to go in the Spirit, to have our mind renewed, but a foundation of the Word going into the Spirit through worship, through prayer. So anyway, this has been a great 2 weeks so far. We're excited to talk to you again next week. Maybe we'll come back to that topic.
Yeah.
And man, we're just thrilled that you guys like listening to this, and we will have our trademark send off, and then we will close this episode out and see you next week. All right. Signature sign offs in 3, 2, 3,
right.
2, 1.
Oh.
See you later.
Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with us for Coffee at FCG. We are so thankful for you, and we would love to hear from you. So if you want to get in touch with us, send us a message, whatever you want to do, info@fcgastonia.com. If you'd like to give to our church, obviously we're a church, so it's a nonprofit status. You'll get a giving statement at the end of the year. You can go to our website, fcgastonia.com, and hit the giving link right there. It's a great place for you to sow. So we would love to hear from you. Just conversation. Let us know your prayer needs. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about. But we are so glad you're with us, and we will hear from you soon. You'll hear from us soon.